All right. Well, good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure to get together with you today, as we do most weekday mornings, 8 o'clock Central. And our goal today, as it is each weekday, is to give some very thoughtful, practical, applicable tips of what it takes for a small business to get funding. Because what we do know, and I think you would agree, it's not how bad a small business owner wants money or how bad a small business owner needs money. It's, do they qualify for it? Do they have the package necessary? And do they go to the right lender? That's really the truth of it. And the core of that is, are they qualified? Now, if that sounds outlandish or inconsistent, think about it with a mortgage. How do you get a mortgage for a house for you and your family to live in? Is it because you really, really want a mortgage? Because you really, really need a mortgage? Frankly, no, none of that matters. It's, do you qualify for the type of mortgage that you're applying for? FHA, VA, USDA, so forth. So what we're going to talk about today are some very practical criteria that is needed to qualify for most business loans. And we're talking about large loans, not small loans. Now, you have to take this with a preface that different lenders have different loan programs and each have slightly different criteria. But what we're going to talk about today is kind of the A to Z. If you can meet these criteria, you can qualify for funding. And in fact, a lot of funding to start or grow a business. Now, when I say to start or grow, a lot of people have a misconception. And part of the problem of accessing capital is a lot of people have bad information, incorrect or incomplete information. And one of which is, oh, a new business can't get funding. A startup can't get funding. That's not true. Or a startup can't look credible because they're a startup. That's certainly not true. Those are self-limiting, wrong beliefs that if we follow that train of thought, we probably won't get funding. So let's go ahead and go through the startup business funding package. This is all parked on the chapmanloanprogram.org website. So if you ever want to refer back after the webinar, you're welcome to go to chapmanloanprogram.org. We have a number of referral partners, and if you're one of our referral partners, thank you for being so very much. We're all focused on financial literacy. If you were invited today from one of our referral partners, be sure to reach out to them after the Zoom and tell them thank you, give them some constructive criticism, and they can plug you into the system if you would like. So we went out and applied for a grant through the U.S. Startup Grant. What we provide through that is the Startup Business Funding Package. It's best described as a turnkey resource to form a new business positioned for fast funding. Now, there's some important words here. When we applied for the grant, it needed to be concise in the sense that it always works. So even if you have an existing business, we would propose, let's form a new business for the capital raise. That doesn't mean your other business has to go away. You can own multiple businesses. The example I like to give, whether it's a good one or a bad one, Elon Musk, right? He owns separate businesses. Tesla, SpaceX, used to be called Twitter, now it's called X. It's okay for you to own multiple businesses. And this is an approach of developing a business specifically set up for a capital raise. So if you don't have a business yet, obviously this works. If you already have a business, that's okay. Let's start a new one for the purpose of the capital raise, because quite frankly, it's easier and more consistent to form a new business and go through this checklist than it is to try to clean up something that may not be fundable. So we're going to go through this bulleted list here, and let's see if I can make this just a bit larger for us. There we go. So let's talk about what is included through the grant. And you'll see there's a bunch of things that are free, and that's good, right? People like free, simple, and fast, don't they? Okay, so the first thing that's free, and it's first for a reason, as many of you know, I used to work for the SBA, and one of the most common mistakes we saw at the SBA is small business owners would skip step one. They would go to some subsequent step, and then we would be in cleanup mode. You and I want to avoid cleanup mode. Cleanup mode is unpredictable. It can be frustrating. It can be expensive. So the first thing that we need, if our goal is to get a business position for fast funding, is a good address. Now, what does that mean? It's a unique business address. So let's define what it's not. It's not a home address that we pretend is a business address. It's not a post office box. It is not a shared virtual address. Well, the key word there, the adjective, is shared. So companies like WeWork and Regis, great companies, have nothing but positive things to say about them. But when you sign up with many of those, they give you a suite number. But the problem is that's the same suite number that other businesses use. That instantly reduces the credibility. So what we need to do is have a unique address. So the street number, so we all know what's in an address. We have the street number, the suite number, city, state, zip. So let's work backwards. Do we have to be an exclusive zip code? Of course not. Do we have to be exclusive in the state we're in? Of course not. There can be other businesses. Of course there are in our state. City, do we have to be the only business in the city? No. Let's go up to the street address. Do we have to be the only business at that street address? No. Take Trump Tower in Manhattan. I don't know how many stories it is, 20, 30, 40 stories. Are there lots of businesses? Sure. But each one should have its own suite number. So that's what we're talking about, a unique business address that's coded. There's a database from the United States Postal Service. You can't game the system. So you can't say, oh, my back bedroom, it's suite 101, I'll use it. So we need to start with a unique business address. As we go through this, I'm not sharing with you my opinion, and frankly, your opinion doesn't matter. These are the facts. So if we have a good, unique business address, that makes us credible for funding. It's one element. There's more that we need. That's what we're going to go through. But it does start with having a unique business address. And that's free through the grant. Second thing that's free is we're going to file with the Secretary of State to form the business. And that's free through the grant. Now, again, I realize you may say, well, hey, I already have a business. Well, that's fine. Frankly, if we go through this checklist and your business matches all these criteria, then you don't need the program. We can go right to funding. And I'll just show you. You can go right to funding right here under resources. If you already have a credible business, skip all of this and just go right down here and click here, and we'll get you funding offers today. We've got Madison, who is on the Zoom this morning. Good morning, Madison. Madison is your funding coordinator. You fill this out, and we'll get you funding offers today. But the problem is a lot of small businesses don't have a business position for fast funding. Thus, we got the grant. Thus, we're having this conversation now. So we'll get filed with the Secretary of State for free. Grant pays for it. Next, we're going to get the EIN. And of course, that's free and easy anyway from the IRS. What's not listed here is after this, we're going to get your bank account, because we do need to have a business bank account. Obviously, what we're working towards is having a credible business. So from an outsider's perspective, not you or a friend or family member, but from an outsider's perspective, does this business look credible? Is it worthy of receiving funding? And of course, this is the checklist to do so. Now we need to roll up our sleeves and add business credit. We're going to add trade lines under the EIN. So the EIN is like the social security number for a person, but this is for the business. So we need to add trade lines under the business. There are many different types of trade lines. And so we'll work with you at this point to determine the right type of trade line. I was visiting with one of you yesterday, and I won't mention your name, and you're on the Zoom today. We were talking about adding business vehicles. And so his first business vehicle that he wanted was a BMW X6, and that's fine. So we can get vehicles under the business name, under the EIN, doesn't report on your personal credit, that is a primary trade line. We can buy real estate under the business, under the EIN, that doesn't report on your personal credit. We can get business credit cards, MasterCard, Visa, American Express, what have you, that's under the EIN, reports on business credit, doesn't report on personal credit. We can even go get those little nominal net 30s, but we'll put together a plan with you based upon what your goals are. The business vehicle is great because most of us need transportation anyway. And if we do it right, we get a business vehicle, fully tax deductible, so we can write off all the expenses. And under Section 179 of the IRS tax code, we can leverage what's called accelerated depreciation and write off the full amount up front. A little bit of an advanced concept, but point is we need to have trade lines. Why would we want to have trade lines under our EIN? Because it shows the outside world that our business has managed its used credit effectively, that we pay our bills on time. So if all we did is just went and formed a new business with a good address, of course, but we didn't do this, then the business doesn't look strong. Now, Eric is asking, how long does this take? This is like a 30 to 60 day process. So it's true, it's not instant, but it's not long. But if you, as you listen to this conversation, if you can go through in your mind and check all these boxes and you already have all of this, you don't need this. Then scroll down and click right here on apply for financing, and we'll go to financing today. So you see, you're not being persuaded to do something that you don't need. I'm showing you what's needed to have a credible business, and either we can provide it to you through the grant, or move forward, right? Let's just go to funding. The next thing that we're going to do is add assets to your balance sheet. A couple layers to that. So the biggest pushback I get, and I would say it's an illustration of financial illiteracy, right? Because our educational system teaches people how to get a job, not how to create jobs, not how to start and grow businesses. So a lot of people, well, first, a lot of entrepreneurs don't even know what a balance sheet is. So we need to fix that. And that, of course, shows the assets and liabilities of the business. And then at a second layer, a lot of entrepreneurs think, oh, I have an early stage or a startup business. That doesn't apply to me. That is complete BS. Don't let anyone get away with telling you that, because that's the mindset that keeps them from getting funded. So we're going to actually transfer legally and ethically assets right away over to this new business, to the balance sheet. And we're going to help you get the balance sheet set up. So this shows to the outside world that the business is credible. It's not insolvent. Now, these assets, they're not a mystery. It's not gray or fuzzy. It's again, a legal transfer of assets in the form of receivables, accounts receivables. So granted, these are not organic receivables where you went out and your business went out and sold something and is owed for the services you performed. Instead, it's acquired receivables. But we're not selling these to you, right? It's part of the package. It's transferred to you for free. Then we turn around and help liquidate those receivables to build cash flow. So if you remember from back 7th or 8th grade, what did we learn? We learned about the 3 C's. If you want funding, it comes down to the 3 C's: credit, collateral, capacity. Capacity means cash flow. Well, what are we doing here? It's no mystery. We're building the business credit, we're providing the collateral, and then we're liquidating to create capacity, cash flow. It meets the 3 C's. Now, once we have this business set up, now we're credible. We can go to funding. There's many different places to go for funding, but one of the most valuable that a lot of people don't know about is called the Chapman Fund. The Chapman Fund is a source of capital that doesn't come from a bank. It doesn't come from a credit union. It certainly doesn't come from an alternative lender that often is high cost. Instead, it's from what's called a taxing authority. So that means that this quasi-governmental entity has money to distribute to start and grow businesses. And we can qualify for that geographically because of where we're going to set up the address. Now, pretty much everything in life has pros and cons. I think you'd agree with that. The Chapman Fund will fund only up to $250,000. I get people to get very irate because it's not enough for some people, but that's okay. This could be the first tranche. Or maybe you don't want to use the Chapman Fund. We don't have to, but the point is we're setting up a model that qualifies for it. But we could certainly go for a much higher capital raise through other sources. Because why? Because we have a credible business, right? That's the core to this conversation is, what does it take to have a credible business for funding? There's your checklist. So what we love to do is help you get your business positioned for funding. And of course, there's no risk. It's not a very complicated process. In fact, it's a two-step process, as stated right. Well, if I can just highlight this, two-step process. Very simple, two-step process. Sometimes it's interesting to me how often I'll be on the phone with someone and they'll get lost. I don't know what to do. There's two steps. Step one, watch the training video. If I can highlight that. Sorry. There we go. And that's here. Granted, we've already gone through it probably in even more depth in the video, but we'd like you to watch it. And then step two is to enroll. Crazy simple. Also on this page, of course, is our contact us information, but there are some resources that I want to go through briefly, and then we'll open it up for conversation. So if you have comments, questions, concerns, what you'll want to do is type it into the Q&A. It's like a chat box, a Zoom, and that's where you can let us know what your questions, comments, concerns are, and we'll address them. So there are 4 resources that it's my job to make sure that you're aware of. The first of which is the link to enroll. Now, this is an exact duplicate of step 2, so there's no difference. So you could click here to enroll, you could click here to enroll. They just wanted it to be under the resource tab as well, so everyone knew where it was. Secondly, if we want to apply for financing, and this could occur one of 2 scenarios. After we have the business set up, then we obviously can apply for financing. Or if you come back and say, no, I've already got a credible business, already has meets these criteria, then skip enrollment. Don't do step 2. Don't do this link. Just simply do this one, right? And there's no upfront cost. John's asking, there is no upfront cost. You'll see. All right, the third resource are some funding success stories. Keep in mind that when we're going to funding, number one, we're not the lender. We work through lenders. We're the technical advisor. But the point I wanted to make more importantly is that we don't get some sort of power of attorney to pretend to be you. You'll get the funding offers and you'll pick the ones that you want. I was working with one of our clients yesterday, and we had her set up for $125,000 with no interest, literally no interest charges. And she walked away from it. She felt like it wasn't in her best interest. So we're regrouping today on a different type of funding. So that's the beauty of the model, is we help the business get qualified for funding, and then we bring you options, and you're in control. You pick the options that you want. So she didn't have to accept that $125,000 with no interest. I was amazed. I was surprised. Still am surprised, but that's okay. Each client picks the funding that they want. Also, we have a great distribution partner program. And if you wanted to become a distribution partner, it's the bottom link. So with that being said, let's open it up for your questions, comments, concerns. Who has anything that you need to know? What did I not cover? Again, if you choose to participate, if you were referred by one of our distribution partners, please follow up with them after the Zoom today, and they can help you get set up. Otherwise, you can certainly go to chapmanloanprogram.org, and it's exactly, this is the page. So it's a 2-step process. Step 1, watch the training, which is this YouTube here. frankly, you could skip it if you wanted because we've gone through everything, but that's the design of it. And then step 2, enroll. And then we'll be reaching out to you shortly. All right, so Quantrell has the next question, SBA loans. So when we go to funding, there are many different types of funding sources. And so what we're going to do, Quantrell, is we're going to look at the client's mitigating circumstances. And what does that mean without the technical jargon? Well, how much money are they looking for? What are they going to use it for? And the specifics of their business. And from that, we can then determine, well, we put it into the system and we use, I guess you'd say, AI or algorithms, artificial intelligence or algorithms that identifies the recommended source of capital based upon the client's mitigating circumstances. And so you're right, Quantrell. Maybe it is an SBA guaranteed loan, maybe it's not. But yes, that's a type of funding, a popular type of funding. But we'll need to get your business plugged into the system, look at all the circumstances, and then determine where the right type of funding would be. John said he's referred by someone else. Yeah, so John, if you were referred by one of our distribution partners, we would recommend that you go back and visit with them, and they can help you get enrolled. If you weren't, here's the 2-step process, and it's crazy simple to enroll. Step 2. All right, who else has questions, comments, concerns? All right, so Sally's got a specific question. So Sally, we may want to visit individually on that. I can follow up with you since it's about a specific client. Carlos is asking about, again, becoming a distribution partner or referral partner. Sure, you're more than welcome to become one. You don't have to be one. You can be one. And I think Carlos' point is, can he become a distribution partner and then refer himself in? And the answer is yes. In fact, you can. Any other questions? So keep in mind, we have these educational, informational Zooms most weekday mornings at 8 o'clock Central. You can come back and join us again tomorrow or as often as you want. Better yet, bring some guests, bring some other entrepreneurs that may be looking for help in getting positioned for a capital raise. And we can explain the proposition to them, just as we have today. If you decide to become a distribution partner, that's great. I mean, you'll literally make just over $1,000, which isn't get rich quick, I know, but you'll make just over $1,000 each time you invite someone to our morning Zoom that decides to participate. We have some of our distribution partners that do that on average once a day over a course of a month. And so for a nice side gig income of an extra 20, 30, 40,000 a month, you can't go wrong. Any other questions, comments, concerns? ChapmanLoanProgram.org is the resource site. You have our contact us information. If you're referred by a distribution partner, follow up with them. Otherwise, simply follow the 2 steps. All right, well, we'll be back tomorrow morning, same time, same place. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.